So everyone's probably seen by now, the company Sakana recently released a model called Fugu. It's all over my feed. It's probably all over yours as well. And to be honest, this is by far the best model in the world. Fugu dynamically orchestrates the world's best models to take on complex multitask steps, and it plugs into intelligence right into your workflows via API. You can use it in your IDE via terminal. So Sakana recently released a model called Fugu, and it's all over my feed, everyone calling it the Claude killer. But is it really? I spent half a day inside the actual foundation of the system documentation, reading through it, seeing the benchmarks, and just seeing how it performs overall. And boy, oh boy, let me tell you, it's not what I expect. Everyone's calling it the Claude killer when in reality it uses Claude as one of its LLM pools. What is an LLM pool? In reality, Sakana Fugu uses four models: Codex, Gemini, Claude, and Sakana Fugu, their own model, all in one pool to collectively decide, review, plan, and then obviously ship the final product what you're building. And it uses those four models combined, which is kind of insane when you think about it. So calling it the Claude killer, in my opinion, I wouldn't say it's necessary, but it definitely fits the vibe because it is so powerful. I mean, using all four of those models in one pool. So Sakana, the company, recently released a model called Fugu, and it's all over my feed, and everyone claims it's the Claude killer. But is it really? I spent the day inside the benchmarks, seeing what it actually is, the documentation, how to use it. But what is Sakana Fugu? Let's see for ourselves. So firstly, it's a multi-agent system delivered as one model. What is this? Sakana Fugu achieves superior performance by dynamically coordinating and orchestrating a diverse pool of powerful models. Instead of using domain knowledge to prescribe team organization, roles, or workflows, Fugu learns to dynamically assemble agents from a pool of and coordinate them through non-obvious but highly efficient collaboration patterns. So what that means in short, I know it sounds very complicated, but don't listen to that. Sakana essentially uses LLM pools. An LLM pool is essentially four agents combined as one. It uses Codex, Gemini, Claude Opus 4.8, all of the strongest models, and then Sakana Fugu's own model, which links all to one big model. So essentially, you get a Harvard level engineer at your doorstep with this. Is it expensive? Yes, it is. So pricing, what does it cost? Firstly, Sakana is priced at $5 input. If you're using context, its context window is surprisingly only 272,000 tokens, which is quite small. But it explains everything because this is all a money scheme if you ask me. But it eventually switches to $10 with context. Output $30, 45 with context, and then the cash input is 0.50 cents, $1 with context for 272,000. Context limit, which is really small, like I mentioned. Pricing $20, $100, and $200. Same as Claude, same as Codex. Your basic setup. But here's what differentiates Sakana from everyone else. So this is a quick overview of the best model currently available, Ultra. It's called mean mode, which is quite cool if you ask me. Just before we continue to showcasing the actual model live in action, who am I? My name is Duan Crane and I run a company called Ascend Solutions, and we build, as everyone knows it, AIOS systems on the daily. Essentially, what is an AIOS system? It's an AI operating system where Claude or models like these completely take over your computer, your IDE, your form of coding, and essentially do the work for you. Now that that's over, first thing I want to get straight is this is not an agent. This is not a thing you can use in an IDE. This is not like Claude code whatsoever. So don't even compare it with that. That's like comparing a switchboard to a phone. You can't do that. The thing which separates Fakuna or Fugu essentially from Claude completely is Claude and OpenAI and Codex and Gemini and all these new agents using the power of an IDE or a CLI with a wrapper, for example, is essentially one input. You can spawn a bunch of sub agents now, I know that, but it's essentially still one model doing the work. I mentioned this previously. Fugu is separated by a functionality called LLM pools, and it uses it by, for example, if I were to give it a task to build me a landing page, it would not only do it using Claude Opus 4.8 or Fugu's own model, it would do it by differentiating different tasks and subsidizing them down between different models, which are obviously the top models, Codex 5.5 extra high, Gemini 3.1 Pro, Opus 4.8 Max or Ultra Code, and then Fugu's own model. And then it gives them all their own tasks. So tasks, verifier, reviewer, all of it combined straight into one. And that's essentially what separates Fugu from a normal agent. So moving on to the actual benchmark, how did Fugu compare to Opus 4.8, Gemini 3.1 Pro, and GPT 5.5? So as you can see, the SWE Bench Pro, Fugu, the normal version, and Fugu Ultra. There's two different models, so try to keep up. Ultra highly beat all of the top models easily. It's like Fable 5 or Mythos, essentially on steroids. Um, and as you can see, all of these numbers, they don't lie, they talk for themselves. So everything here is self-explanatory. I mean, SEI code work, 60%, 58%. Somehow Fugu is better than the Ultra version. Fugu actually competes hand on hand with Ultra in most of these categories, as you can see, where Ultra is merely beating it with a few points. So honestly speaking, I don't even think Ultra is worth running cost talk wise now. Just thinking how expensive it's going to be. I mean, you've looked at the output, it's more expensive than Opus currently, and Opus is already expensive as hell. Fable is already expensive as hell. So all of these new frontier models are all going to be expensive as hell. My current solution, and I'm posting a video on this soon, is GLM 5.2. A new frontier model. It's not new actually, it's the only open source model currently available, which competes hand on hand with Opus 4.8 at the moment. It actually lists very well when it comes to coding work. Agent wise, it's I think like 11th at the moment, but it's not a bad model, and it's a fifth of the cost of Opus, for example. But the problem with GLM, and I've been facing this for a while now, is the moment when Z.AI took over GLM, the company, for some reason they minimized the amount of tokens. So GLM 5.2 Max, I think, prints at a maximum of 60 tokens per second, which is extremely slow comparing it to a model like Opus 4.8 and Codex 5.5. And if you ask me, it's way too slow to even try to use compared to the speed and the quality these models deliver. Look, GLM's quality is superior, especially coding wise, but the speed it's doing it at is just not worth it for me at the moment. So my daily stack is switching between mainly Claude Opus 4.8 and then obviously Codex 5.5 extra high. And I use about 500 to a billion tokens a month on average. So that's just me. So this is for my more tech-driven guys, the research-driven coordination for the multi-agent intelligence, the actual tech behind Sakana or Sakana Fugu, and how it operates. So I'll link all of these technical reports, for example, the Trinity report and learning to orchestrate agents in a natural language with the conductor, because this is very important actually now that I speak of it. That's what also separates Fugu alongside all its other models, but this is a big one, is the fact that it was shipped and called a conductor in two well-known news sources, which is quite weird when you think about it, because it's an agent at the end of the day. But whatever makes sense to them. If you want to go review the reports, I'll link everything down below and link Sakana Fugu's main page in the bio alongside everything else. Just before I close off the video, I just quickly want to go over how Sakana Fugu, the model, actually operates. So your one prompt essentially goes into Fugu, which is the main model, and then it goes down into three sections: thinker, worker, and verifier. And keep in mind, this is for all four of the top tier models currently out there. So you have a swappable model pool. You can obviously select the models you're using, but the main models it uses is GPT 5.5, Gemini 3.1 Pro, and open models are obviously available, and then Fugu itself. You never see which model actually did the work. It may be renting Claude Opus, for example, or ChatGPT 5.5. I'm calling it renting because it uses an LLM pool, and then it moves on to the actual synthesis of the build, and then you get your one solid answer back to you, which is obviously going to be very high quality. But here's the actual reality behind Fugu, and I not see anyone covering this for some reason. So Fugu Ultra wins. Yes, that's Sakana's own numbers. According to everything else on the SWE bench, it wins. On the Live Code bench Pro, it wins. On the GPQAD, it wins. It claims to beat essentially every high tier model out there, as you can see. But in reality, the fine print is Fable 5 tops the SWE Bench Pro, plus the HLE. GP5, GPT 5.5 beats it in leads, MRC RV2, and then long context thinking essentially. And then it beats Opus 4.8. Wins the CTI realm, the cyber version, and then the CCI code, plain Fugu versus Fugu Ultra. Fugu beats its own Ultra version, which is unexplainable, like I mentioned. And then you get stuff like the Molic Independence, 30-minute runs, shorts or fadeable in practice. So if you ask me, I still think Fable is superior to even Ultra, but it's not worth breaking your brain over. Um, Essentially, Fugu benchmarks against Fable 5 Mythos the exact same models, in short. You cannot put it in its own pool, in short, that's all. So essentially the script bitmap, hook, the Claude killer, setup. Wait, here's my memory aid. So if you found this video helpful in any way, shape, or form, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment any thoughts you have on the new model and the orchestration they use. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on this.